Hey everybody, Danny Maude here. Thanks for joining us. How often have you tried to hit the ball a little bit further, but when you do, you compromise your strike and the direction? So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can generate more club head speed, whilst at the same time maintaining, in fact, even improving your strike and the control of that club face through the impact area. To do that, we're going to discuss exactly how you use the wrists in the golf swing, plus how you release the club through impact. Before I do though, look, if you're new to the channel, it's from your first videos of mine, consider subscribing. I release videos just like this every week to try and help you improve your game. Plus, I always put a free downloadable practice guide in the description box below. Okay, great, so here's what we're gonna do. We're going to do this in 3 stages. I'm going to show you, first of all, how you can use your wrists in a way that's going to generate loads more speed. It's something that I'm seeing missing in loads and loads of my students, so I want you to add that in first. But there's no point getting speed if you're hitting it everywhere. So in stage 2, I'm going to show you what you can also do with the wrists to keep control. So you've got the speed, how do you add that control to it so the club face arrives square or straight so you can hit those lovely straight shots. And then in stage 3, what we'll do is I'll show you then how to use the body to amplify this motion even further. It's super, super important. Okay, so how do the wrists work in the golf swing? Well, look, you've got to generate some club head speed. So the first thing I want you to do is many years ago I came up with a Catapult method, where really all it is just using science to say, look, this club needs to have speed to it. Well, for this club to have speed, and if you want to do this with me, it's be super, super helpful so you can feel this. Hold the top of a club and simply let the club do this and let it fire. Well, what happens? It's speed, yeah? I can feel the momentum. It arrives down at the bottom and speeds up. Why? Because this bit is not really moving very much. So this bit slows down, allowing this bit to speed up. One of the biggest killers to potentially your speed is that you're moving this too much and not allowing this to speed up, okay? So an example would be if you're hitting the golf ball and you're moving or turning your shoulders towards the target too much, you're bringing this end of the golf club too much with the club head, thus losing speed. The other thing here is that from this position, you might guide it, you might steer it, right? So we need to feel in stage 1, this club working. And all I'm gonna get to do is this. I want you to show you how the wrists are going to help you with this. Then we'll show you how you then add more control with the arm and then the body after that, okay? So just grab the club. I'm going to grab it in my lead hand, very, very important. Just literally cock the wrist up in the air and do this. Fire. Fire. So ultimately, this is wrist motion. This is us now. Look, this butt's slowing down and I am firing the club. This club head has speed in it. That's what I want you to feel first. Looks simple, doesn't it? You assume that everyone has it, but you know what? So many of my students don't. Because they've hit the ball everywhere, the last thing they want to do is lose control over this club head. So the first thing I want you to do is this. Get a sense that this wrist is cocking upwards, and the way you strike the ball is a downward cocking of the club this way. So you just cock the club up, and the club, look, there's a downward cocking of this club down towards the golf ball. That is how we strike it. We do not drive, because that's, as you say, is going to be a real loss of speed. And we do not move our bodies to try and hit the golf ball. We are going to let this wrist just simply down cock on this ball. That is stage 1. We'll tell you how you control this in a second and how you hit it straight, but I need you to experience the cocking and the uncocking of the club. It's almost like we're cocking it up, and then look, we are throwing it down. Throwing it down. This way. This way. Makes sense? Start with that as stage number 1. By all means, hit a couple of shots if you want, literally feeling the club working up, and then just literally allowing it to fall. Even when I got some of my students doing this recently, by the way, they still didn't have the courage to let it fall, and what they did is when they came here, they couldn't resist but move their bodies this way, okay? We don't want that. We want to get you feeling like almost there's some resistance here, just allowing the club to fall at the golf ball. We don't want to move forward, okay? Start with a couple of shots like that, and then what we'll do is now we'll start to add some control to that motion. So all I'm doing is firing it down, finishing short, letting that ball just pop forward. Now you've got some speed. You feel how you're going to generate speed. How do you control it so that the club face does not arrive here, closed, hitting the ball left or hitting the ball right, and how do you strike it? We want to have the handle slightly ahead, don't we, at impact? How do you do that? How do you make sure that happens every time? Well, to do this, you just do it in a very small space first. I'll show you what I mean. So look, we want that club, when we do down cock, we now know that we need to down cock onto this golf ball here. We know that the wrists go downwards. That's how we're going to generate speed. But we also know we need to get that club face very square at the moment of impact. So what you've got to feel now together, and we'll do this together if you can, in a very small way, we're going to figure out, okay, where's the best angle for this club head to come from in order for that to happen? Because look, if I do this and I roll my wrists in the backswing, well, we said we need a down cock on this ball. But if I down cock, where's the club face? It's pointing over there, isn't it? So what am I going to have to do? I'm going to have to, look, roll my wrists. That's super inconsistent, yeah? Hard to time that. The other thing, look, let's do another thing. If I swing back here and I then drive my handle forward, okay, so I'm not literally down cocking and getting the speed, but actually start to drive forward, trying to compress the ball. Where's the face? Again, wide open. You're going to have to kind of flick it to try and get it back. So what do you do with these wrists then? Well, first things is we know we need to down cock. So when I'm swinging the club up and down, I'm trying to visualize that club down cocking and the club face being square. The other thing I'm doing, by the way, is I'm also, as I'm cocking the wrist up in just a small way, I want to get the feeling that the lead hand here is slightly ahead of the golf ball, yeah, as it down cocks, okay? I'm not down cocking like this and getting flicky. I'm feeling that the lead hand here is slightly ahead of the ball as I am doing this, okay? But I'm not trying to keep my handle by doing this. That's the dangerous bit, okay? So, how do you know where the angle should be and how do you know where to swing it back? Well, this is where just normal feel comes in. Once you pay attention to this small area here, you could actually hit some small little chip shots or even pitch shots, is just finding where to go. I know if I do going here, look, straight away, that's heading in the wrong direction. I'm going to have to use a flicky wrist to try and correct it. So I'm finding, and where does it feel right for me to get that club working up and down in order to get those wrists releasing in the way that's going to keep that club face nice and square. And I'm going to hit a couple of shots, and I might just hit a couple of little pitch shots. Just paying attention to the club face and what it's doing through the swing. You see, if I finish and I hold my finish here, and I want you to do the same, if the club face is closed like this, then somewhere along the line, I must have rolled those wrists, yeah? So what you can do is just keep paying attention to how those wrists are working in order to kind of maintain that square club face. And if you come and have a look at this, so if you just check this lead hand here, okay, so we want this kind of downward, in a sense, downward cocking, look, of the club on that ball. We don't want a rolling of these wrists. We don't want a drive, because that's going to leave the face open and you're going to have to kind of flip it. We don't just want the cocking up here and then chopping across. That's going to create chicken wings and slicing across. So what we're trying to work out is ultimately, how does we get the club arriving down square? At what angle is going to help us do that, hit the club, the ball square, and then come through? You can see here, if you actually look at my hand, okay, the path of my hand here, as I'm coming up, the path of my hand, it's coming down the line, but also if you notice where it's actually going towards my left heel as the club comes through square. This is basically, in a sense, getting me to come through square through that shot. If I drive my handle too linear, I'm going to leave the club face open, which then gets me having to flip it. So remember, the hands naturally, as we're down cocking, are going to feel like, for you, might go left to target, but that's what's going to give you that kind of square club face through the impact area. Great, so before we then start amplifying the body, I hope that wasn't too detailed. It's kind of just showing you, most of this you'll be able to do naturally by feel, but hopefully that gives you a real good idea of how this down cock's going to work and how you're going to start squaring up that club face. But how can you support all this motion with the body? Again, let's just focus again just on this lead side, okay? The lead side is a side that causes for me a lot of problems with many of my students. So let's focus on this lead shoulder for a second. So if we want to get this kind of downward cock on that golf ball, how can this lead side, this lead shoulder help you? all right? Well, we want to make sure we've got some power in this shoulder. Well, if we were to roll it and try to turn, what's that done to the club? Can we downcock from there? No, we've kind of moved off. We're going to have to kind of lunge back over the ball. So this lead shoulder, to help us strike this and unleash this club in a downward cocking fashion, needs to work where? Down and underneath. Now look, it's supporting this club up there. I'm working the club shoulder underneath. Now look, what does this lead shoulder need to do on the way down? Does it work around? No, that's not going to help the club come down, isn't it? So what does it need to do? Does it work upwards? No, that's going to bring the club down here. So what we're doing is we're working it, look, down here and around. So literally now we're firing it down. But it isn't just doing what I see with so many students, certainly a couple this week, in turning fashion. You turn it, you don't have any of that downward force. We want the whole thing all linked together to provide speed, control, and power. So now you've got everything here working, okay? This lead shoulder for most people doesn't move. So if it's flexibility, no problem. Just get the sense of this body working. Free now. If you have to get your lead heel off the ground because of back problems, do it. But ultimately, if you want that club releasing downwards, you've got to get the body supporting this motion. It works down and under. Look at the angle of my shoulders. Everything's working up. Now from here, look, I'm going to work this shoulder down to the golf ball, releasing it, look, down this way. This is what's going to give you not only the control, the speed, but it gives you the extra power through the impact area. That's the crucial thing. So build this in stages. Speed, feel where that comes from. That alone will help. Then get the control. Feel the club face. Spend some time maybe when you're doing this. Small shots, just pitching initially, just down cocking. Feel the club face being open too much through the impact. Then feel it closing a little bit through impact so you can get some club face control. Then sense, is my lead shoulder in a position here to help me, look, go downwards, okay? And finally, notice this. When you throw the club down, people always say to me, how do I amplify it even more? Well, when you throw the club down, your body's going to respond by going what? Upwards, because it kind of resists this force. Very different to this. This is catapult, this is steer. When you throw it downwards, the body will respond by going upwards. This is what's going to help you when we move to driver. Okay, we'll cover driver in another video where it's very, very similar. We've got to hit upon the driver, but we'll cover that in another video. But I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope this really helps you improve the quality of your ball striking and generate some more effortless speed. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Maybe share it with one of your friends who's kind of struggling to hit the ball far enough. This will super, super help. And look, remember, if you're new to the channel, I release videos like this every week to try and help you improve your game. So come and join the community. I'd love to see you next week. And by the way, check this video out here. This is one I just created just recently on the short game. You can use exactly the same principles in the short game with this too. But until next week, have a great golfing week.